Turn me up. This is
Coming to you from the heart of the Pacific, brought to you by Paulie by Design.
respected at all times.
Broadcasting from San Francisco, California, the city by the bay.
It's about to go down.
We shine on positive Pacific Islander role models every Sunday.
Party on a Sunday.
From 10 a.m. to noon, it's time for the iconic Faika podcast with your hosts,
Listening to
Naki and Carl.
What's up, Naki?
What's up, Carl?
We're about to do a show.
Nope.
Season 5, episode 44 of the Faika broadcast. I'm your host, Carl. With me, your lovely host, Naki. Good morning, Naki.
Good morning.
Today, we are going to... What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about our first place Giants.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the Bay Area kid playing with the Steelers last night, and he had a 50-yard catch and run. We're going to talk about that. We will talk about COVID a little bit, not too much. We're going to have our check-ins and do our community announcements. We have a big community announcement for an event coming up at a week next Saturday, the 28th. We're going to talk about that. And then in the back half of the show, Naki is always missing her court summons. So we thought the best thing to do would be bring the judge, bring the court to the show.
So rude.
Judge Fa'amamoe Masaniai from the King County District Court is going to join us in the second half of the show. Mm-hmm. That's our show today. Naki, what's good?
Good morning. So, yeah, I can't wait to get the judge on. He's going to be on at 11.
He's going to set you straight.
He's going to set you straight. He a 49er fan, so how about that? He's a 49er fan. Hey, Maury is on this morning checking in.
She's a Niner fan, too.
Yes, she is checking in from SFO. Good morning. So this week I was under the weather, but I feel so much better. I stayed in bed an extra day just to make sure I could make it here.
You sounded bad I think I spoke to you on Wednesday or Thursday, and you sounded really bad.
I had a sore throat, then I had an ear infection, and then I got my meds, and then I popped those on a regular, and I feel so much better. I got COVID tested, so it's a negative. Thank you, Jesus. And so
got tested at work. So is it just gotten easier now? Because I don't hear any more horror stories about them trying to poke your brain when they're doing the test. Is it still shove the thing way up your nose?
Yeah, it's still shove the thing way up my nose, but where I work, we get tested weekly.
So you just got used to it, or is it still crazy? Because remember when it first started, everybody was like, "Oh my God, they're trying to tickle my brain."
I think we're used to it.
So it's still the same. It's just you're used to it.
Unfortunately, we're used to it. So So I got tested on Monday because I work Monday through Friday, and then Monday I went into work, and I got tested because I test every week.
And how long does it take to get the?
Usually a day or two.
A day or two.
A day or two. Jeanette, good morning. Jeanette's checking in
Jeanette.
on Facebook. Thank you for tuning in. So I got tested and Monday, and then Tuesday I woke up, or Monday night I had a scratchy throat, and then I couldn't swallow because my throat was hurting, and then my ear was killing me. I was a crybaby. And so I said, I'm going to stay my ass home because I don't know. I didn't get my results yet. And so I just wanted to make sure that if I had COVID, I didn't want to get anybody at work sick. And then out of all days, usually the very next day I find out that my results, and it took a couple of days. So I was like, the hell? And so I lost my train of thought.
So you get the results back.
I get the results back, and I'm
email
negative.
them to you?
Yeah, they email it to me.
Would they email them to you if you weren't at work?
Yes.
Or would they come tell you?
If it was positive,
if you were at work.
If I was at work, they would call. Well, either way. So if I'm negative, I get a text message. I get my results via text message.
Okay.
And emails, two things. And so if I were positive, if I tested positive, they would have called me and dragged me out the building. So yeah.
Get your ass out
out this building. So I got tested. It was negative, but I still had a sore throat and ear infection. And apparently it's for me kind of like flu season, kind of. I have bad allergies, apparently. So
have allergies changed for you post COVID, post chemo? Allergies are different for me. Do you have different allergies after chemo?
Post chemo, I didn't have allergies.
Oh, so before chemo,
So
no
before
allergies
chemo,
at all.
I had no allergies.
And so since chemo, you
Since
now
chemo,
have allergies.
I now have allergies. I have asthma. So, excuse me. And so I was using my asthma spray a lot this week. So that's all I need to do was heal. And I had a video appointment. I wanted to go in so the doctor can poke me and stuff. But they're like, we didn't get your test back yet.
You stay away.
You stay your ass at home. So then, I was on like meds, pain and antibiotics kind of. And so I feel so much better.
Yeah, chemo's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, chemo is
it changes
just like
so many different things.
Killed my immune system. So that was me this week. I was home. I was a Netflix, Hulu, Prime Video queen this week.
You got a lot of stuff done.
I stayed in my room the whole time.
You a world-class binger this week?
Oh my God. I've never watched so much TV or really not TV because I don't like commercials.
Ooh, so what series? What'd you get into?
I watched, what did I watch? I watched the new Jason Momoa movie that's out on Netflix.
You watched Jason Momoa's movie?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it good?
It was really, really good. It was it has a twist to where you're like, no. What? Get out of here. So I love that because I was like, somebody's going to die.
So do you talk to your baby daddy about the quality of movies that he's picking, or you kind of let him manage his own business?
He manages his own business. Plus, I've been kidnapped. So as soon as he finds me, I'm out of here.
Well, what if The Rock and Jason Momoa find you at the same time?
Yeah, I
who do you end
up? Both.
Both.
Go. I'm like a kid with divorced parents. I just go.
They do the McDonald's drop-off thing.
Yeah. So the movie is called Sweet Girl with Jason Momoa and Isabella Merced, and it was on Netflix. It's like 2 hours, but it's really, really good. And I think I was drawn to it because his wife had cancer. And it's about the big pharma companies, how they have, like, my theory is that the big pharmaceutical companies, they have the cure for a lot of diseases, but because the treatment is more expensive, this is my own craziness.
No, I've heard this.
Yeah,
I heard this theory.
Because of that, they get more, the profit.
Leaving you sick.
Yes,
and
the
keeping
profit
you
from the
wrong.
meds keeps the pharmaceutical company going. If they find a cure, then it's just one shot. You know what I mean? So you just need, I don't know, like a pill, and that's all you take.
I've heard that.
Then they don't need most chemo is like, I don't know, anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000, right?
Right.
Per treatment. Thank God I have insurance, So that is my theory. So this is about that. His wife has cancer, and this big pharmaceutical company comes out and says they have this, it's in testing. What do you call that?
Clinical trial?
Clinical trial.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so then they're about to put her on, and then they pull it for some odd reason.
There's people that might not have seen this.
Yeah, no, they play, and it's the whole, and then it's that whole scenario of what, that. I know it doesn't sound, but there's a lot of action. There's a lot of action, and
does your baby daddy do a good job?
Yeah, he does a really good job.
All right.
He does a good job, and the girl in that movie, Isabella Merced, she does a great job too. So, but the movie is really good. I highly recommend Sweet Girl. So go on Netflix, go watch the movie. It's really, really good.
Do you feel any kind of way when you see your man on the screen with another woman?
No.
No? Just work, right?
Yeah, it's just work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what's weird from our age's standpoint, right? The quality stuff was always going to be in the theater.
Yeah.
Like if you made a movie and it went straight to video, that meant it was garbage.
Right.
Right. The longer it stayed in the big screen, the better the movie was.
Yeah.
And it probably took me too long. It probably took me too long to figure out that there's really quality stuff on Netflix and Prime and Sundance and all those kind of things. Like there's as good of films being made that don't go to the theater. And it took me, because of my age, I think it took me a little longer than like our kids' generation. They know there's great stuff all over the place. Like
I know, but do you feel that since the pandemic, like Netflix and Hulu, and they've stepped their game up because you couldn't go to the theaters, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Even Disney.
I don't know if it's because of COVID. It may have sped it along. Yeah. But they've been making, you know what I mean? Like they've been making better and better quality content. I think COVID probably made that, sped them along. Right. But the progression to getting really good content from Netflix first and now Prime. Prime is making some really good stuff. That's like, now I'm like, okay, there's all kinds of this content out there that I haven't seen. That's really good. That's quality stuff.
Yeah. So it was a really good movie, and so I think a lot of great movies have been happening, or I think before Netflix would have I used to think that Netflix would have one good movie come out. I don't know. Right. Then they once a week or something like that, or once every other week. But now they've have more movies more often,
and they've got series. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The series that you binge. I mean, it's like we watched Shameless for seasons, and then we stopped watching. And I don't know for what reason we stopped watching, but we really, for a couple of years, I think we stopped watching. So we'd watched season 1 through 9, and then like, I don't know, a month and a half ago, or maybe a month ago, we look back and we're like, wow, there's 2 full seasons.
Right.
That took us like a month, and we just sat, and it was like every night we're watching 1, maybe 2, and we'll do the thing like, can we do one more, or we got to go to bed? Yeah, let's do one more. But
and then it's 5 o'clock in the morning.
then you got to do the math. Like if I go to sleep right now, I could get 4 hours.
I could do 3. I could do 3. You start bidding with yourself. Can you do 3? Yeah, I think I could do 3. Yeah,
I could do 3, and then I'll just come home and I'll go straight to sleep.
Yeah,
and you never come home.
And I think it's popular too, these movie apps, is because we're so impatient now. Like we get less and less patience as every year goes on, and now we don't want to watch the commercials. Like I won't even, if I used to watch like if there's a series on TV, I won't even watch it. I'll wait for the whole like Pose. So Pose comes on FX, and when the second season started, I didn't even watch it. I just waited for the whole season to get on Netflix, and then I jumped on and binge watched.
Here's another age thing where we say kids have no idea how easy it is. Yeah. Right? There was no choice when we were young. Right. There's no choice. They left you with a cliffhanger at the end on Thursday night at 9 o'clock. That show ends and the credits roll. You are waiting for next Thursday at 8 o'clock for it to turn on so you can see what happened. There's no Google. Yeah. You can't go figure out like what happened. Right. You got to wait and see. And that was part of the experience. And now, like, you're right. We wait for an entire season to come out because I don't want to get left on a cliffhanger one week.
I don't either.
Next.
I've like, what is that one series on Netflix? Bridgerton. It's about a family. That's their last name. And I watched that from, it has one, I thought it was like one season. So I thought, okay, it's the first and the last show, and no, there's a second season. So like I'm waiting for this. I hate that. I did that with Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's
I watched it all the way through, and then of course there was that big ass break they did. Game of Thrones.
2 years.
Yeah, 2-year break. So you got to catch up, and then because I was so addicted, I waited weekly for the show to come on. I was like, damn you. But so
great entertainment is we take it in differently now though, because now we want it
We want it like
the
that.
whole season.
Yes.
Get through a whole season in a week.
Yeah, a weekend, we want. So yeah, I watched Sweet Girl. So go watch that. Melody Masaniai, good morning. Checking in from East San Jose on Facebook. Good morning.
We have Masaniai family on the show today.
I wonder if Melody is related.
We're gonna find out.
We're gonna find out. Good morning to Nele Arangao Teote is our Tafate family is on. Good morning. So I watched Sweet Girl. Went back, and I usually don't do this, but I went back to watch old movies. I don't like to watch movies
a second time.
I watched movies a second time.
I'm good with. I mean, so there's some movies that I've seen, and I know they were a good movie, right?
Right.
And then if I watch them a second time, it's almost like a new release because there's like, oh, I don't remember every step of the movie because some of the movies I've seen, I don't know, A Few Good Men, right? The courtroom scene. I've seen that, who knows, 25 times, right? But there's some good movies that I'll go watch a second time and I haven't seen them in over 10 years.
Yeah.
And they're pretty entertaining, even though you know what's going to happen.
what's going to happen. Right? Yeah. Yeah. So I did that this week. I watched a lot of old movies that I already seen just because I was bored and I was flipping. And there's nothing good on TV other than it's football season. So Mo had that up all weekend.
It's so nice to see football.
Preseason, yeah.
Even though it's preseason, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's still football.
Yeah.
It's still, you're watching a game that I love and all the political stuff, taking all the protests, like I just want to see football.
Yeah.
So I don't watch the pre-game thing. So if people are taking a knee during the national anthem, more power to them.
Yeah.
If I see it, I see it. I don't care. I just want to see football.
Yeah.
And football's starting.
Yeah, so it's football season, and all the preseason games are on. And Mo has the NFL Network, so he was glued to the TV all weekend long. And then I was so happy to just be up and sitting up because I got sick, and I thought, oh my God, do I have COVID? And now, it reminded me to be more cautious of when I go out, if I go out. Now y'all ain't gonna never see me because after I got sick, it scared me. I was like, oh my God, do I have COVID? And I was with Carl last Sunday, you know what I mean? And I was thinking of the people I could have gotten sick. And so I'm so relieved that my test was negative. But now y'all ain't gonna see me no more because before I was like, oh, it's
Feels
getting
like
better.
It's kind of opening up.
I got the vaccine. I'll wear my mask, but I've been hearing all kinds of people are still getting sick because the Delta variant is a lot more contagious than, so I'm trying to stay safe, and I really, really am trying to be careful. So there you go.
Yeah, the COVID whole thing, I think a lot of people were like, oh, I just want it to be over with. It's still here. It's still with us. We still got things we got to do.
Yeah.
And, I think it is 70% of America has got at least one shot.
Well, that's nice.
So that's a good start. But, there's still 80 to 85 million people out there eligible for the vaccine that haven't
taken it. So there you go. Sulesa Taufate Apelu. Good morning.
Taufate Apelu?
Apelu, yes. The whole family is on this morning. So yeah.
Good morning, everybody.
If you stay tuned, we're going to have the judge on at 11 o'clock, Judge Moy, who is gracing us with all his powerful
do we address him as Your Honor?
I'm sure we could. I'm sure we could. So, and I love that he's a 49er fan. So that's a plus. He grew up in the Bay Area.
Not everybody can be perfect.
So yeah, he's perfect. He grew up in the Bay Area. And so of course he's a 49er fan. And
I don't think I've had any discussions with a judge other than addressing him as Your Honor.
Yeah. You in trouble now. You in trouble. Yeah.
No, I mean, the only time I've ever spoke to a judge has been in court, right?
Wow.
I don't have any friends that are judges. You know what I mean?
Look at us. I'm gonna
it'd be nice to have a judge on and just have a conversation.
Right.
Not,
what you doing here, Mr. Johnson?
Don't come back to my court again.
How do you plead? Yeah, so that'll be good. Good morning, Lena. Lena Manulele was checking in.
San Jose in the house.
Yes. So Yeah. So that was me. I watched some old movies. One of my favorite, well, it is my favorite movie. It's so old, but it's Dirty Dancing with Patrick Swayze. Yeah. And Jennifer Grey. That is the favorite
Nobody
movie.
puts baby in a corner.
Yes. That's my favorite line too. So Aitu Langi is saying, please pray for my uncle and Auntie Tonga. Good morning, Langi. Yes, of course. Prayers are going out.
Samoa.
Yes.
Tonga, and Lau, Pastor Lau.
And First Lady Tonga.
First Lady
Yes.
Tonga.
Good morning. So, Larry Duenas is checking in from
Chalukar Club?
Yes, Chalukar Club. Larry's checking in on Facebook. Good morning, brother.
I got my Faletuas mixed up. That's
Yeah.
Samoa. It's
Yes,
Tonga is really-
right. Different island. So yeah, that was my week. I watched all kinds of movies, and was in bed all week. I feel so much better. We went to lunch last week with Mona, and then that was it. How was your week?
Well, it's a good segue. The lunch with Mona was really good. That's one of the things that, we've all gone through is we haven't seen our family as much as we normally would.
Yes.
And Mona's house is usually, I don't know, the house in Manteca, and then she moved to Ripon, and they've both been the hubs kind of the family, a lot of the family gatherings. And with COVID, just not having many of those. So it was good to spend time with Mona, and hopefully we get some more time in. We had talked about, so when we had lunch with her, we had talked about getting together and having like the cousins breakfast as something that we used to do as a family. And we were really talking about as things were going to be opening up, we were going to do that. But things don't seem to be
opening
like
up.
now after that lunch,
Right.
and then you getting sick.
Right.
It's like, wow, we had that whole conversation about doing that kind of stuff, and we really need to put the brakes on that. So it was good to see her. I don't know, we'll need to get together with Sister Mona again at some point.
Yes.
But that might not be in the exactly near future.
Yeah.
Or at least not as near as we thought.
Yeah, we on lockdown. Till,
And we were at a place where
we felt a little.
well, I mean,
No?
you had done we had done the second ever Snacky with Nacky at that restaurant. So I had that. That was cool being at that restaurant. But then, it just brings me back into we're still in this. We're still got to pay attention.
Yeah, we really, this week reminded me that I really need to, I don't know, I took it easy, or what is that? I eased up.
Right.
Eased up on how I'm going to handle COVID.
Well, we did, being responsible, we canceled a trip to Washington, D.C.
Yes,
we canceled a trip to a trip to Palau. With Naopo.
Right.
So, there's responsibility on everybody's end. We're trying to do our part.
Trying to be safe.
Let's see, on, I think it was Tuesday. So we usually have a family accountability meeting where we will sit down and talk about the things we're trying to get done. So if I know what Nainoa and Ty are trying to get done, then I can kind of call that out during the week if I see that they're not doing it, or just ask like, hey, how's that working? And just give people a nudge. So normally we have that meeting on Thursday night. This week we had it on Tuesday. I don't remember why we had it on Tuesday, but we had the meeting. It was great to, share and kind of keep in touch in the whole pandemic thing. And after, Nicole and I we're going to take a walk. And as we were leaving, both the boys said, hey, can we walk with you guys too?
Nice.
So all four of us went on like a 2-mile
Oh my God.
hike.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit over 2 miles, but it didn't feel like it because we were just laughing and talking.
Nice.
And, it was a really good time to spend doing something besides, because, how we get together is we get together and we eat. So we'll go to a restaurant or we'll get food and we'll sit down. And that is a good time. That is a good way to do it. But just doing something different than just sitting there eating and then, walking and spending time together was awesome.
Oh, yay.
So there's I'm so, I don't know, like, I guess I'd call it anal about my steps. I want to get my steps in. I got to get 10,000, 12,000, whatever I got to get in.
You're big time anal.
Like, I got to get that. So there's actually points in the walk where I will make sure that I don't cut the corner and I actually go to a corner and touch it. So what we do is we walk to a certain manhole cover and step on it, and then we'll turn left and go to another, so we know we're not shortcutting anything. The boys, of course, they're 22. They decide that it's a race to each manhole cover. And so they were like, like a basketball, a rebound in basketball, getting position for it. I thought they were going to tackle each other on the pavement as we were going. There were neighbors that were walking by laughing about how energetic the boys were and how the parents were just kind of hanging back and watching.
And laughing.
So good time there. Work, COVID is just continues to blow up. So the positive COVID case calls and our cleaning protocols and all those kind of things those calls are much longer because there's way more cases now. And I have states that are, there's some people that think that COVID is not a thing. I've got Arkansas, I've got Texas, I've got Louisiana. Those are all really high case level states.
Wow.
So that has been a lot of work. And then treatment. I had treatment yesterday, rough day, not yesterday, but Friday. And part of the treatment is I get a shot, and the needle for the shot is it's like that long.
Eek.
And it's a deep shot. I can either get it in my shoulder, or I can get it in my hip. And I've always got it in my shoulder. So for 6 years, I've gotten this shot. The shot that I got on Friday, I don't know, I'm pretty sure she hit a nerve or something, because that was by far the most painful shot that I've had, and I've been getting them for 6 years. It was hard to even move my arm for a while. Hard to sleep because I couldn't roll that way in the bed. So yesterday was a low energy day, but it started out slow, and then ended up with Malia's in town. Five's in town, so all 5 of us got to hang out last night, eat Indian food, and chop it up. So,
nice.
Yeah, it's my week.
Kids went back to school. My little one, Malia, went back to school this week. And the last time she was in school, she was in the middle of 6th grade. So it was her first year in junior high. And then 7th grade was all home because of the pandemic. And then this year, Wednesday, I believe, was her first day back at school. And so she was an 8th grader, but yet the 7th, so she was pretty much kind of new to the school, but she's considered like the seniors of the junior high. So one of her things every year is people mispronouncing her name.
Malia.
Yeah, they'll say Malia or Miley, or there was some good ones this week.
We had Malia's been pronounced Malie, Malia.
That's
Malia. It just doesn't seem like it's that difficult to.
Somebody and one of the teachers called her Mala, and I was like, they're not even they're not even trying. You know what I mean? I'm like, my poor baby, and she's like, and to her, she's like, isn't it a common name? I was like, yeah, no. That's a Samoan name. And she's since kindergarten. When she first went to school, I was so worried about her. And I went to took her to, we all, 50 million of us took her to kindergarten. And she went to go sit down in class. And when the teacher was doing roll call, the teacher said, Malia, Molly, and she said, my name is Malia. And I was like, oh, I'm good. I can go
this
now. Oh, yeah, I'm good.
I raised my girl right.
She does that every year. So, but this year she mentioned it because so many people got her name wrong and were like way off. So
I think that the long A, like if you're not Samoan, you say Samoa.
Yeah.
Or Malia. You know what I mean? So the Samoa or Malia can be apparently difficult.
Right. And I was like, gosh, President Barack Obama, his daughter's name was, but I think he said Malia too. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's funny every year. Every year it's a little bit, but since she didn't have school last year and then she came, it was way more. She paid attention to it a lot more. And she's still like day 3, they still hadn't gotten her name. And I was like, oh, it'll take a while. It'll take a while. The teacher has 6 different classes and, a classroom full of students to learn names. So I was like, okay.
Did you have a junior high or did you have a middle school when you were when you went through? I had a junior high, 7, 8, 9. So ninth, junior high was 7, 8, and 9, and then I went to from there a different campus for a 3-year high school, 10, 11, and 12.
Yeah, when I went to high school, when I was in junior high, it was I think it was 7, 8, 9.
And then high schools.
By the time
12.
I got to the 9th, I was going into the 9th grade. It turned into a high school. Then they put the 9th graders in high school.
They brought them up.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So after 8th grade, I went. We were the first class to go to high school.
We were the last class to go to start in 10th grade. So I went to junior high 7, 8, 9, and then I went to a different school, different campus for 10. And then when I went from 10th to 11th, they brought both the 8th and the 9th graders up. So it was a 3-year high school when I started, and then the second year was a 4-year high school. But the problem I had with it was I thought high school was 10, 11, 12, right? So I really wasn't going to do much in terms of grades or classes or anything until I got to high school.
Right.
So I had really bad grades in 9th grade, and then when I moved up, it was like my junior year, and I'm with a counselor talking about college and stuff, and she's like, oh yeah, and then we really got to address your freshman year. And I was like, freshman year? That's a different that counted? Like I didn't really think because it was a different campus and a different school. I got really bad grades in 9th grade.
Yeah, I didn't really care about my grades. I was like, I just didn't care about my grades. You're good.
Well, I didn't in 9th grade.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really bad.
Yeah, that's okay. It's okay. So we're going to take a break real quick, huh, Mena?
Yeah, and we come back.
When we come back, we're going to have the famous ever, the most worldwide, world-known Judge Moy is going to
have your
come
honor.
on. Yeah, we're going to have Judge Moy Masaniai coming on in a couple of minutes. We're going to go to break real quick, and you're listening to the Faika broadcast. We'll be right back.
Family matters, yo. Everything I dream, everything I push for, everything I live for is for my family. Got this fire inside, got my back up inside, got the ones who mean the world, supporting everything I do. When life's not easy and the world gets heavy, and when I'm stuck on what I'm doing, I know that I can count on other ones. See me in my diapers, I was young. They know just what to say. They say, boy, trust your heart, follow your dreams. You gotta do it for you and me. If you trust in God and pray about things, He'll provide you what you need. Mama's cooking up good, kids playing outside, pops pumping those jams, you know I'm good. Got my roots on lock, have my people in my heart, I know I'll be alright, I'll do it for my hood. I promise to try to make you proud. God, through you I see wisdom. Remind me who you are to me. You help me when it's hard, help me out the dark. Gonna do it for my family. They told me, boy, trust your heart, follow your dreams. You gotta do it for you and me. If you trust in God and pray about things, He'll provide you what you need.
Kikai to Amasifa. Amen.
And we're back. You're listening to the Faika broadcast. I am Naki. With me, as always, is Carl.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. That was Tiano, Family Matters, Bay Area Kid. You can follow him on Instagram at CPOFTIANO. Family Matters by Tiano. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. So we're honored and humbled and crazy amazed about our next guest. Carl, you want to go ahead and introduce?
This year, the King County Council unanimously appointed Judge Fa'amamoe Masaniai, Judge Moy, to the King County District Court bench. Active in the Puget Sound region's Pacific Islander community, Judge Masaniai is the first judge of Samoan heritage to serve on the bench of a court in the state of Washington. He also is believed to be the first graduate of the Washington State Bar Association's Rule 6 Law Clerk program to be appointed to the bench. Prior to his appointment, Judge Masaniai served as a pro tem judge in numerous municipal courts in King and Pierce counties. Additionally, his legal experience includes work in both criminal defense and prosecution. He has argued cases in numerous legal venues, including district and municipal courts in Washington state, the United States District Courts for Western and Eastern Washington, the United States Bankruptcy Court, and courts in American Samoa. Judge Masaniai also is a former federal appointed independent prosecutor whom the High Court in American Samoa assigned to prosecute human trafficking, fraudulent immigration matters, and public corruption in American Samoa. Judge Masaniai notes that he grew up in the poorer parts in Seattle and San Francisco. He adds, "I am honored and humbled to have the opportunity to serve the people in King County as a district court judge. In the Samoan community, love, respect, and honor are important values which I am committed to bring to all people who come into my courtroom. Welcome, Your Honor."
Judge Moy, can you hear us? Oh, we don't hear him. So Mena's going to work on the volume. We can see you, Judge. He's
So we're gonna bring him here in a second, and I know that Naki's got all of her. You got any warrants outstanding? Anything you want to clear up so we can before we get
Stop. He is
before we get Your Honor in here.
No, I was almost about to cry when you were reading his bio. I could
tell because you were supposed to read the second part of it.
I know. I was so emotional when you started reading. I'm crying now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
yes, we can.
Yes, Judge
Good
Moy,
morning.
thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you guys.
I don't know if you heard, Carl was reading your bio. He was going to read the first paragraph. I was going to read the second, then he the third. And he went to me for the second one, and I'm all teary-eyed because, we're Pacific Islanders. We're so proud, even though we just are now meeting. I think it's in our culture.
I think the big piece is that there are Pacific Islanders out there that are doing amazing things, and they don't receive the spotlight, or we don't share that as the way that we should, and we don't see those. So when we do see things like this, it really touches our heart to be able to show your story and have young people, Pacific Islanders, that may not think about being a judge, that may not think about being an attorney, or may not think about things, and then they see people that look like them winning in life, and that's really the emotional part of having you on the show. So welcome, Judge Moy.
Thank you guys very much. What a great opportunity for me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And it's not just for our Samoan people, but it's for all of us.
Yes.
And it's just we recently had Samoan Cultural Week, and we were able to share with many different cultures our culture,
yes,
and how we're very proud of being Samoan, and being able to share that. And then we had the wonderful talent of Jerome Gray come and perform for us. And then we had Jesse Sapulu, the great San Francisco 49er.
Yeah.
Came and became our MC. It was just a great event from the prayer all throughout the week, including the empowerment day, where we teach young kids how to do different things that are just basic things in life that we don't take for granted. And then we had some idol and just the talent that we had performed. And then we had the fashion show where all the wonderful designers in the Pacific Northwest region, but also in California and Utah come up and share their designs. We had the great Alpha Sue, who was on the Project Runway come,
Yeah.
and he just had some wonderful opals that he was sharing. And then we had the cultural dinner, and then we had the Pacific celebration on Saturday. And just it was a wonderful week of sharing. And I think we were missing because we missed last year because of COVID. And it's a fantastic opportunity to share our culture with everybody. So when I got appointed, it wasn't just me that got appointed, but it was all the Pacific got appointed at the same time.
Yes, I truly believe that too. It's just I think we're proud people, right? And so our culture really is just, it hits home to see someone that looks like us and just our own people doing good, and not just because we think that, and totally we always think that we're so proud of like the rock athletes and actors, and then to see us in different, to see that, well, really the kids, to see us in different roles, to see their face, the people that look like them doing other things other than that. And that's, that you can be more than just an athlete and an actor, which is crazy amazing. But to see educators and lawyers and doctors and artists, I think that's what I love about this job, is that we get to show kids. I didn't have the example growing up of anyone seeing a professor, or let alone a judge that that looks like me. So we're very, very proud and honored to have you on, Judge.
Thank you. When I started my young career back in 1994 as a court clerk, I was the only person of color besides the defendants coming through the court, and that was one of the things that I noticed right away, is that, there wasn't anybody that looked like me in the position of authority. There wasn't a prosecutor or a public defender or a judge. And as a court clerk, I sat there and I watched that. And throughout my career, I was able to start to see subtle changes here and there. We started receiving African-American prosecutors and African-American judges. And we didn't have anybody from our Pacific Islander nations who was stepping up. And even now, when we look at the roster of which Samoans are serving as attorneys in Washington State, there's a young public defender, Paul Titi Ali'i, up in Snohomish County. And there's also Shalia Alalima Stallings, who works for the Attorney General's office. There's Charlie Alalima, who has been a long-time attorney both in Washington State and American Samoa. There's Robert Malai, who also is another attorney who works here in both Washington and Oregon. And there's rumor there's one more young lady who works down in Thurston County, but I have yet to meet her or see anything from her. And so we're a very small group of attorneys, and we need more. We need more people, more young people going and getting their degrees, getting into law school. I just met with a young man who wants to do what's called the Rule 6 program, and that was the program that I did.
Yes.
So I didn't go to traditional law school. I instead did the apprenticeship program, and this program was developed by the judges a long time ago in Washington State, that allowed their clerks to study for the bar, and that judge mentored them through the 4-year program, and then they were able to get the opportunity to take the bar and then pass the bar and become an attorney. And it's not an easy program. You have to be a self-starter. The hardest thing is to find a mentor to take you through it. So if you can find an attorney who is willing to, or a firm that's willing to, or a general, a superior court judge who's willing to, or power to you. And it's just you're geared up to take the bar exam. You learn everything like you did in law school, and it was a hard program, but God pulled me through it, and I thank God for His guidance through all this entire
Yes.
time.
Yes.
And
Spoken like
then
a true Pacific Islander. Judge, were you aware of the program and were you working towards it, or was the mentorship brought to you and you made aware of it through the mentor? Does that make sense? Were you looking at that program as where you wanted to go, or were you approached with the program by the mentor?
I had no idea the program existed. I was trying to get into law school, and I kept getting no letters because of my undergrad grades and not focusing on what I needed to do when I was an undergrad. And then the mentorship program, the Rule 6 program, was brought to me by my mentor, the Honorable Scott Stewart, who's the judge in Issaquah Muni. So in 1998, he approached me and he goes, "Hey, there's this apprenticeship program. You would have to quit your cush job as being a court clerk and come work for me. And you're gonna have to wash me." He would joke with me that I would have to wash his cars and have to do this and that. But I never had to do any of those things. But it was a lot of work, and he took me through it. So the way we did it was I lived all the way up in North Seattle, and our office was all the way down in South Seattle in Kent. And so I would drive from Northgate to Kent every day. I'd wake up at 4:30 and get to the office by 5:30, and I would study from 5:30 to 8. Then I would get dressed, and then I would work from 8:30 to 5. And then I would stay in the office and study from 5:30 to about 8 p.m., then drive home to avoid all the traffic. And then I would do that every day. Then on Saturdays, we would meet at 7 in the morning, go through the program that he had me study. Then he would give me a test. And we would do that every week for 4 years.
Wow.
That is well, thank you so much for Scott for reaching out.
Yeah.
Was there so 2 points here? I think there's one is that the work ethic, right? There is work ethic in our people, but the knowledge of other programs to apply that work ethic to, it can be the void that needs to be filled. And in this situation, it sounds like Scott filled that. Was there something that you did to catch his eye, or was there did he say how he ended up approaching you with the program?
When I worked as a court clerk, he was our commissioner. So he did all the custodies and the traffic infractions, and he and I hit it off right away. We became really good friends. And me being the main court clerk in the courtroom, as he started his journey to become a judge, he started as the commissioner for the court, and I was able to share with him what the sitting judges like to do. And so I always kind of protected him and said, well, the judge wouldn't really do that, or the judge would do this. And then was able to share with him and guide him. But it was his knowledge and his heart and his love for the people that really shone to me. And we just connected. We just connected right away, and we became really good friends. And then when this opportunity came up, he said, "Hey, come and join me. Come and join me, and I'll take you through this program." Then after he took me, he took his wife through the program.
Wow. Oh my God.
She also graduated from the Rule 6 program. So she's been a practicing attorney now, I think, for 13 or 14 years.
Wow, that's awesome. That's crazy amazing. Judge, can I just back you up just a little bit? Can
Sure.
you tell us about growing up and where you grew up, and then how you found law?
I grew up in the South of Market in San Francisco, born in San Francisco General Hospital, and my family lived between Market Street and Folsom Street and 7th Street and 8th Street. And so when my family came, it was not only my mom and dad who were very young, but it was my grandma and my Auntie Ainga, and before she was married to my uncle, who was and I'll touch on that in a second. She was married to my uncle, who was a police officer for San Francisco for 25 years. Wow. Then I had my Auntie Paese, my Uncle Pliskinga, and all my cousins, all my Taylor cousins. And we all lived.
That's my uncle too.
Yeah, we all lived on Natoma Street right there in San Francisco. And my uncle Lolo, my Auntie Inez, and my younger cousins lived there. And my grandmother's brother, my Uncle Lelo, and his wife, Auntie Mealy. And so we all lived on the same street. And we had other family members who lived down at the end of the block, and we had other family members live a couple blocks away. And we were the only Pacific Islanders in the South of Market area. And so we all knew each other. We were all related to each other, and we all lived in that area. And we grew up in South of Market. We didn't have much money. And we had our community center Cannon Kip right there on 8th Street, and that we used to enjoy going to, and then we would play out on the street, as normal city kids would. And my uncle had been working very hard to becoming a police officer, so he rose through the ranks, went through housing police, and then ended up becoming a full-time police officer, and then ended up becoming a detective. And then whenever I would talk to him, a diehard Niner fan too. I mean, he was a diehard Niner fan, and he would always talk to me about different things about the law and aspects of that. So my goal going into college was to become a pilot. That didn't go the way I wanted to go. And then I said, okay, I'm going to be a police officer. And that was my goal coming out of college, was to train and become a police officer. But God had a different plan. He had a different plan for me.
Life gets so much easier when you end up doing the plan that God has.
Right?
Amen.
It's like you can find things that feel good, then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, you get stop signs, you get stoplights, and then you end up switching directions. One of the things that that happens when you grow up in a tough neighborhood, sometimes you end up picking up bad habits from the neighborhood, like being a Niners fan. So,
Judge, he's such a hater. Such a hater, Judge.
He's wearing a Giants hat. I thought we had some sympathy here. But apparently
I'm
not.
a diehard Giants fan, but the question behind that, I guess I would ask, is how is it being a Niner fan living up there in Seahawk country?
They're 4 behind. They don't matter.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
Then in 1984, we came up for a family reunion, and my cousins had asked my dad and my mom if it'd be okay for me to stay. Now, we had been coming back and forth between San Francisco and Seattle. My cousin Joe Taylor got a scholarship to go play for Don James at the University of Washington. And he was a great football player. Went to Galileo, graduated of Galileo High School.
Yes.
All city lineman, all city basketball player, all city wrestler, phenomenal musician. I mean, he was a hard act to follow coming up after Joe. And I was just always so proud of him. And he came up here and we just fell in love with it. Everything was concrete to us down there.
Yeah.
We come up here and all of a sudden there's a yard.
It's
There's
green.
trees, there's like greenery, right? So it was just really beautiful. So we fell in love with the place. And sea chickens. Go on, Melody. I love you, Melody. And good morning to you. Good morning to my cousin, Yotiote Tafate. Good morning.
Yes.
And so we were just very excited to come up here, and it was different for us. And we just fell in love with Seattle. And then, to us, we had this yard and everything, but we were maybe 400 yards away from White Center.
Wow.
Right, which we didn't know what was bad, right? We were like, White Center, that ain't 6th Street down in town, right. So relative to us, it was pretty tame, from where we came from. But to the people who lived here, they were like, "Oh, White Center's terrible." And it wasn't as bad as what I was accustomed to.
Yeah, I found that too. I used to live in Tacoma. I lived in Tacoma for about 5 years. And, growing up HP, Sunnydale, I was like, I kind of accustomed to it. So their hood is a little different than what I'm like, dang, this ain't even that bad.
You can walk the streets at night.
It's not even that bad. I mean, of course, don't get me wrong, it's bad. But
it's bad, right. But it's not as bad. Yeah.
Not that I got used to it, but I was familiar with, HP, what the difference was. But so
our studio used to be on just south of Market on 7th Street, between Market and Mission.
Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
Right next to a meth lab.
Right. It's a methadone clinic, but it may as well be a meth lab. Right.
But I just when I heard that you had grew up in San Francisco, and then it explained, I was like, oh, that's why he's a Niner fan. And awesome.
I remember when my cousins came home and they were all excited that O.J. Simpson was being traded to the Niners. And we were like, oh, yeah, the juice. And I was so excited. I had no idea who O.J. Simpson was other than hearing about him in the city. Went to Galileo High School, grew up in HP. I went to Potrero Hill Middle School. So, we all knew, of the juice. But it was like, does he have anything left to bring to the Niners? And he didn't have much left. He was already older, and his knees were shot by the time he got there. So, but it was exciting getting the juice back, having him come home, and and then all the stuff that happened later on, I was like, oh my gosh, that just,
now you're like,
Yeah, that's it.
And you're like, that's a USC kid. That's not a Bay Area
Yeah,
kid.
that's awesome. We when I first seen or heard of you, because news drop
Yes.
the coconut wire, it goes fast. It was just like I was like, oh my God, there's a judge. I mean, there's a Pacific Islander judge, and so my kids are so fortunate because when I was growing up, I didn't see anyone that looked like us. I mentioned that earlier, but like we always say, it's a great time to be a Pacific Islander right now because we're growing so fast and we're getting out there and really doing what we're passionate about.
Right.
And so my kids get to see it. A lot of their professors are Pacific Islanders. We're seeing a lot of doctors that are speaking to Congress about, Pacific Islander needs or whatever. So,
And you always have the athletes and the professional
yes, and
wrestlers, but those have
amazing.
always been there, right?
Yeah.
Now
Right.
you're getting people that are winning in life and like the judge is talking about sitting in, because that's one of the things, right? Dr. Fa'aleava always talks about that. We need to sit in where the decisions are being made
Yes.
and not be on the sidelines at that table. And we have judges, and I know Naki was taking notes on all the amazing legal people and minds that you have up there.
Yes.
And we're going to drop your name when we reach out to them. But those are the kind of things that our people really need to see. Is we don't have to be stereotyped, and if you can make the NFL fantastic, great.
Right.
I mean,
God bless you. Right.
that's
Yes.
amazing. But it's such a low percentage of overall people that are going to do that, and we're winning in life in so many different ways. How do you feel? Do you feel, I don't want to say pressure, but knowing that the shadow that you cast and how big your presence is in terms of, wow, we have a Pacific Islander, we have a Samoan judge. Do you feel any of the, I guess, the spotlight on you being as successful as you are in your field?
I don't feel any pressure other than to try to encourage other people to rise to the level. God had a plan for everybody. So before you were even born, God said, this is what I want to have for you. Put you in that position, inspire you to get there. You're going to be told no 1,000 times, but somebody's going to say yes. And you only need that one yes. And once you take that one yes, you got to take full responsibility, full advantage of that opportunity so that you can rise to the top. And then you can cast your shadow, right? And then help people along the way.
Yes.
I would love to see a Samoan senator in the U.S. Senate. I would love to see a Polynesian, representative coming from the House of Representatives, and being Speaker of the House, or being, somebody that's always in the news all the time. I would love to see that happen. I would love to one day see a president rising up from the Pacifica nations. That would be phenomenal. Oh, that would be a great day.
That would be
to see that
beautiful.
happen. And Kamala Harris, she's Alpha Tangata Uli, but she's also Alpha Asian Pacific Islander because her heritage comes from India.
Yeah.
And that's our group, right? So we have the largest group, with when you take about Micronesia and Melanesia and Polynesia, and all of that entire group. They're coming. They're coming. I know they're coming. God is going to put these young people in positions to rise to these levels. And so we just need to support them and encourage them and make sure that they're doing it the way that they should be doing and honoring our culture and our heritage and the families and our nation of Samoa and American Samoa. So I'm excited. I'm excited for this upcoming generation.
Me too.
Do you
Me
think
too.
there's any time that we see, in that 9th congressional district up there, that maybe a Masaniai or somebody might run for that particular seat?
Oh, you mean the Court of Appeals? I mean, my goal and God's goal, I think, is for me to get in the U.S. Supreme Court. I would love to sit on the U.S. Supreme Court before it's all said and done. One of my heroes was Thurgood Marshall, who was a phenomenal attorney, but an excellent Chief Justice in the U.S. Supreme Court. And just still reading about what the things that he had to go through during the 50s and 60s and all the hatred and the prejudice for him to rise to that level just inspires me. So I'm very excited. That's where I would like to go. As my dad once told me, if you're going to shoot, for the moon, aim for the stars. Don't stop at the moon. Just keep going as high as you possibly can.
If you miss the stars, you probably still hit the moon.
Right. Exactly.
If
Right.
you aim high and you miss, you're still high. You're
Right.
still up there. Do you, how does it being, I'm guessing being in a superior court, you're seeing Pacific Islanders come through on the other side. You know what I mean? Like they're being adjudicated. They're going through the system. How does that feel as you're going through that process, being on the bench?
When they, so when I take a look at it, yes, I take a notice that they are from one of the Pacifica nations, but at the same time, I treat everybody the same.
Certainly.
I don't see color, I don't see culture, I don't see anything. But there are times where, like during sentencings or during review hearings, that I'm able to use my knowledge and my experience and the culture to say, hey, look, everywhere you go, everything you do, it's going to reflect on your family, your village, your country, and the rest of us as being Samoans. So you really have to be mindful of what you're doing because it affects all the rest of us. So if you're up and you're rising to the top, we're going to support you. We're going to push you. But if you're making all of us look bad, you know, that's going to be an opportunity for me to teach this person to use it as a teaching lesson. But at the same time, if I need to, I will put them in custody. I mean, so I'm not afraid of using the hammer when I needed to. The Chief Justice Michael Crusay in American Samoa, who is a great teacher of mine and a good mentor, and I've learned so much practicing law in front of him. He once told me, he said, just because you have the hammer doesn't mean you need to swing it. You know, just by having the hammer is deterrent enough to get our people to respond, and they will honor you and respect you for doing that. So I take a very light approach when I have to, but if I need to swing the hammer, I do. And so far I haven't had to, which is great because a lot of them have been responding and making progress. And so from one hearing to another hearing, they're really making great strides. And so I'm really proud of them for that.
That's awesome. I think too is when our people come in front of you, I think it's like they get a jolt. I think it's God leads them into your court because when we see someone, we get a little that oh my gosh, I'm here, and then so I think that they then. In my own opinion, I feel like they then don't want to show their face in your court again, right? Because
Right.
it's like we get a little embarrassed and that oh no, I don't want the judge to see me again. So I think that too, they place you in their journey so that maybe that, you know what I mean? We never know what people are going through, but I think that would help them steer them in a little bit better direction.
Especially when they come with family.
Yes.
Right. And then I come and I give them that speech everywhere you go. The families in the back, they're like, yeah, right. It's like, listen to them, and I point out, I go, you have your family here. Your family loves you. If they're not here supporting you, who's going to support you?
Right.
And I go, you have to take that with you wherever you go. And a lot of these young guys are really responding positively right now. So I think that's a really good thing.
That's awesome. I know that Big Goose Radio, who we love,
Yes.
Vince, you guys, you were talking about doing community work with him.
Oh yes.
Is that what you guys were working on?
The Samoan Cultural Week is what we work on together, and then Vince and Manny will probably talk about other things, and then being plugged into the church that I go to, which is Hilltop City Church here in Seattle, with Pastors Dan and Mabel Mangale. There are members of our church, our congregation, that reach out and they do prison ministry, which is great. And talking to the young men who are there, could you imagine not being able to go home to see your family, not being able to eat any galo failifu or any kind of soup, you're stuck there eating whatever they give you, and just that feeling of hopelessness that I'm stuck. These ministries that reach out, and there's a lot of them. A lot of the favelas down in Tacoma, they're able to go into the prisons and speak to people and encourage them, especially the young people of Pacifica, both in the men and women's prison. Because people forget that there's a women's prison too. And those young ladies, they need to be reached out to as well. And so I really applaud the ministries that are going out there, and being able to encourage the pastors and then give the people who are going out there some insight about this is how this system works and this is what they're looking at and this is what the problem is. And then they always ask, is there something you can do for them? Unfortunately, I can't.
Right, right. The Mangale family is Bay Area, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I
Yeah,
remember their
Pastor Dan
pastor.
Longley went to Balboa High School, and he played against my older cousins James and Joe, James and Fred Taylor,
Yeah.
when they went to Galileo. Yes,
Yeah, I remember their pastor. Their dad had
yes.
a
Yeah,
church,
his right.
a very good church in the city. So yeah.
Mackie, you and
Oh,
I, we got it going on,
we're
Mackie. Go Niners
related.
too.
When you said Uncle Pleskenge, I was like, oh my God, I got to talk to my mom because that is our family too. So
Right.
I'm like, and PIs were 1 degree of separation. 1 degree of separation.
Actually, what we're about a 15-minute conversation away. That's the
Yes.
separation. Like, let's just sort it
Right.
through. We'll talk about, where you're from, what church you went to, your family name, and
Mm,
those kind of things. We have a Melody Masaniai that is a avid follower of Pasifika
yes.
by Design.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's on here shouting
She's
him
on here right
out,
now.
and yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
she's yeah. So the what I notice is with a lot of Pacific Islanders, community work is
Mm-hmm.
what we cling to or go to because we're so, and I think that fits with. And look, I'm trying to tell you what you do, but the community work, because we're always helping. I think that's in our nature to help lots of people. But PIs, I noticed that we're heavy into community work because we want to help one another. And I think that's. Do you think that helped you get into the field that you're in, or have you always been in community work?
My dad and my mom were part of Samoa in San
Oh my
Francisco
gosh!
in the 70s, and so I
Yeah.
grew up watching them spend hours and hours and hours there. And my dad has always been involved in the community work. He's always part of the Democratic Caucus whenever he came to San
Mm.
Francisco, and so watching them. As a young kid, I was like, "Why are you guys gone all the time?" I'm always stuck with my auntie who likes to hit me, but and I won't name her,
Yeah.
but they were out doing stuff constantly. And so growing up, when my wife and I moved back here from American Samoa, one of the things that we wanted to do was get involved in the community work. And I'm married to a wonderful young lady from the Uyangalele family from Futinga in American Samoa, and we've been married now for 13 years. We have 3 kids, and we came
Wow.
back and we are able to work together with Auntie Lua Pritchard down in Tacoma, and then we've been
Yes.
working with the Samoan Cultural
She
Week and being
bossy.
able to.
You scare. She's scary. She tells me to do something, we do it.
She tells me to do something, I do it too,
Yeah.
Naki.
But she's heavy into the community work and she's highly, I
Yeah,
mean, she doesn't mess around. So she's
right.
very highly respected everywhere,
We
actually.
were in a
So,
Yeah,
meeting, and she was in the meeting, and I think we had a question or something, and both of us were like, "You call her." No,
you
no,
ask.
you call her.
Oh, you ask.
yeah, but she's really well connected with a lot of different people on both the local, the state, and the federal
Mm,
level, and she's everyone calls her Auntie Lua.
yeah.
From Governor Inslee, all the way down to the guy who's doing security at the door. Yes, Auntie. We
Yes.
all call her Auntie. We all have a great respect for her, and she's always pushing. That's why every year the Samoan Cultural Week is so successful, is because she drives us to raise it to the next level for the next year.
Yeah.
And we really respect and honor her, for that. And we really love our people.
Yeah.
We had a group come from Arizona, Tausala, and what a great group. They
Wow.
did a fantastic job, fantastic floor show. Most floor shows you see, the strength is in the young ladies who are doing the sivas. This group, the strength was in the young men, and
Mm,
they had a really good group of young men who were doing really good traditional dances from all the different islands of Pacifica, and they were just stunned. They were just amazed about how there was no drama, there was no fighting, there was nobody wanted to be put over somebody else. We just wanted to celebrate our Pacifica Island nations, and then celebrate our Samoan culture. And that's what we do. That's where our heart is. It's not
yeah.
about one person taking the credit over anything. And if you ask Auntie, she's pushing it out to the committees. She's
Right.
saying it's the committees are doing all the hard work, and she's just making sure that everybody does their job right. And so that's what I love about working with our Samoan culture up here in the Pacific Northwest, is that everybody has the heart just to serve.
Yeah.
And I love that about it. This is coming from other people. To me, it's just I'm working. I'm working
Yeah.
really hard.
Right.
To try to make sure that everything is going well. And our dinner is always the big thing. And we have always these wonderful guests. We had Wally Ranks
Oh,
from when
wow.
I was a kid, and then Jack Thompson to throw in Samoan. In 1 year, we've had um, Tofinga from the Laughing Samoans. He
Oh,
had come
yeah.
1 year. Lapi Mariner from Jamoa Jam.
Wow.
Tanel. We've had Fiji come. We just had multiple stars come throughout the years, to help us celebrate our Samoan Cultural Week. And so if you guys get a shot, come on up.
We're there. We're there next year.
We're
Yeah.
actually, yeah, we actually we're part of a national organization. And at our last meeting, Naki had said, I need to know when events come on calendars. Like,
Right.
we realize we're not making events, 2 years out or a year out in some cases. But as soon as you put it on the calendar, let us know, because as soon as
Yeah.
it's safe, we're going to be going to these
Yeah.
events to talk to these amazing people. And I think having somebody like Auntie Lua, like, that's why things work so well, is because you got somebody who's in charge.
True.
You have
Right.
that personality of like,
Yeah.
look, maybe somebody else is going to do it, maybe not. But if I do it, I know for sure it's going to get done. And I just get
Right.
that energy from Auntie Lua is like, no, if I do it, I know for certain it's going to get done. And boy, she can hold her space, and it doesn't matter what room full of what kind of people she's in, pastors, whatever.
Right.
She holds her space, and that's who we need. We need
Yeah.
people like that making CBOs work.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Judge,
Absolutely.
Judge, how did you handle, were the courts open during the pandemic? How did you handle the pandemic?
So I got appointed in January, and March of 2020, all the courts shut down for about a month. And then we started doing video, trying to practice on video. Can we do hearings on video? So as time went on, I was working as a public defender, and so the courts that we had contracts with, we started doing video work. When I started pro temping for King County, we had people coming in, but we had them 6 feet apart. We
Nice.
had some people coming on video, some people in person. Excuse me. And as the year turned and I got appointed, we started having more and more people coming in. So the way that we have to do, if there's in Washington State, there are certain rules that you can follow because of the pandemic. And it's really important that the attorneys speak to the clients and they're able to have communication. Then the attorneys can come on behalf of the defendant if they have the authority to do so, and if they get permission from the court to do so. I don't want to force anybody into court who's got any kind of symptoms whatsoever.
Yeah.
So if your attorney can appear for you, yes, okay, that's fine. But there are certain times and certain kinds of cases and certain hearings, I need you to be present. You can't do your jury trial from home watching it on Zoom. You have to be in the courtroom, right? At the time of arraignment, when you come in and you're being formally charged, you have to be in the courtroom. So those are two of the things I know for sure I want you to be present for. But other things we'll work together with you and then work with your attorneys to make sure that everybody's safe, they're healthy, and they're putting in the position, to get their cases moving forward.
That's being safe. Yeah. Judge Moy, can I ask you, what do you do to relax? Like, because I'm guessing that your job is a high stress. So how does the judge take a woosah?
I either play these old video games that my son makes fun of me, where I'm, just running around doing what I want, or, I spend time watching movies with my family and,
Nice.
And having dinner with them. Like last time we went and watched Dwayne's movie, the Jungle Cruise,
Oh, nice.
as a family. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty fun,
I know. I want to go watch that. It looks good.
Yeah, it's great to watch Dwayne come from the Scorpion King to this movie and
Yeah.
seeing how he's progressed as an actor, being able to not just play the same shtick all the time, but actually have some range to him, and so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the movie last night. Now he went from these little movies, with just like these no-name actors and being a side guy to
Yeah.
now he's like
The
Jungle
main
Cruise with
character.
Dwayne Johnson, with
Yeah.
Emily Blunt, who's a famed
Right.
actress in her own right, and it's just like, wow, look at him. Good for you, Dwayne. Proud of
Yeah.
you, man.
I love that Dwayne made it in the WWE because of his mind, because of the way that he could hold the mic and the promos that he could cut. You know what I mean? Like being a high flyer and being able to do crazy physical things in the ring only gets you so far. Like you've got to be able to connect with the audience. And in that Attitude Era, he was the one that could cut the promo
Yeah.
Right.
that would get you, laughing or yelling or whatever. And it was nice just to see that it was a Polynesian man, but he was using his mind to become a different level than everybody else in that genre.
Right. We were younger. We would go to the Cow Palace to watch his dad, Rocky Johnson, wrestle, and his grandfather, the great Chief Peter Maivia, wrestle. And with Moondog Mayne, and Ray Stevens and Pat Patterson, and
Yeah.
and Pedro Gomez, and that was a big thing in our family. It's like, who's going to go wrestling tonight? We have these tickets, and then we'd all fight over who would go. And you went last time. No, I'm going to go. And so it was great to watch them. When we were younger, and then now here comes Dwayne. Here's the next generation.
Yeah.
And it was very excited for him and his family, and I love the fact that he's always got his mom on certain videos, and then she comes in and she is the typical Samoan mom that we love, right? You know? And there's no whole bar, there's no shame. She's just going to sit there and she's going to sing with them. She'll do her Siva, and I applaud her for it. That's phenomenal.
It's crazy amazing. So, Judge, what do you in the morning every Sunday? So sometimes we don't have guests because Sundays is our loku, is our church day. Is this your all day relaxed day? Are you back at it tomorrow? I mean, do you actually relax besides watching a movie and hanging out with your family? Do you take time to mental health? Mental health is a big thing, right? And with everything that, and I'm not even going to guess what you go through, but is there a time where you just take a minute to, or do you talk to your pastor if you're going through something?
Yes. Yes, I do. And yes to all those questions. Yes, I take time for myself. Yes, I talk to my pastor if there's anything that's going on. I have a great wife. My wife Polo is here, and I'm able to talk to her. We're able to share things with each other. Especially when we're raising our kids. Our kids are still young, 12, 11, and 7.
Wow.
And we're still trying to raise them up, making sure that they're protected and cared for and provided for. And then we reach out to our parents, and so it's always making sure that I'm balanced, I'm grounded, and I love the fact that I have all these people. One of my best friends up here, his name is Pungi Ro, and, probably the best football player I've ever played with, and I played with Bledsoe, and some other players who made it to the NFL. And I still think that if this guy would have had a chance, he would have been one of the great NFL players of all time, but he always grounds me too. So whenever we talk and stuff, and we're just like two kids from White Center, just hanging out and talking, and that's the good thing about it is having a good support system around you so that you can stay balanced and grounded and understanding where people are coming from. I take it very seriously with mental health because I see that come through court all the time. Manu Malo is right. Thank you. She is awesome. She is the best.
Yeah.
And when people are going through struggles, and that's the one thing in American Samoa that was very frustrating is that there was no way to deal with mental illness.
Yeah.
And here in the United States, they still don't know how to deal with mental illness correctly in the criminal justice system. Throwing somebody in a cell for 23 hours a day is just not going to get them better. We have to make sure that they're regulated with their medication. We have to make sure that they're receiving counseling. We have to make sure that we understand the triggers that cause them, to go into their mental health episodes. And I really think that if you're able to take a family and educate them, and provide them some money, and help them understand mental illness, because like you were saying before, Neki, when people come through and they're ashamed of something, they're about having some kind of mental illness, we usually just shut down and just play it off, and it's like no big deal. That person's kind of that urukai over there.
Yeah.
But if by sitting down and talking to the family, saying this is what triggers them, this is the medication they should be taking. Yes, the medication is going to make them feel terrible, but it's not going to put them in the episode where they're having those manic episodes and they're going to react. Some of our people are huge and strong. And then when they go through those manic episodes and the police have to get involved, and once the police get involved, the government gets involved, everything goes downhill from there. If we're able to educate the families, able to teach them about the triggers, able to help them monitor the medication, able to get these people into counseling so that they can understand what they're going through. And it's natural, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know why I'm doing this. This is why what's going on. When you understand that mental illness portion of it, and there's many different forms of mental illness,
Yes.
right? Our brothers and sisters who come back from the war, suffering from PTSD, and going through all that, or the people who are suffering from schizophrenia, and not being able to understand that. So mental illness is a huge aspect
Right.
of what I focus on, trying to making sure that we understand each other. Can I put you in the right place for you to succeed? Going to put you in the right place so you're not part of the criminal justice system. Put you in the right place so that your family is there to support you. Put you in the right place that you are getting the help. And I think that's the important portion of this. Mental illness is key, and and if I'm going crazy, I gotta take a break. I gotta walk away.
Yeah.
Let me deal with this, and then come back when I'm more relaxed.
Awesome. That's that's 100% of one of my big things is our mental health, because we don't understand and we don't talk about it as people.
Right.
And so just talking about it, getting it out in the open, education, giving them options, letting them know this is what you're going through. And then a bell goes off. Oh, it is, you know what I mean? Just trying to get them to understand what is going on. Malo is all over you.
Yeah, she wants me to have my own show.
We love Malo. We love Malo. Judge, I don't want to take up any more of your Sunday. We appreciate.
I got some more to talk about because
God, let's go. Let's go.
Last week Saturday I was invited as an honored guest from Utopia up
I
here in
love
the Pacific
Utopia.
Northwest, and they threw their annual luau, and I was I was just completely honored to be there. Taffy Johnson, who's the president, who is a champion of people, and not just the cutie pie people, but just a champion of people. Love her spirit, and she invited both my wife and myself to go, and we were able to sit at the same table with the keynote speaker, a young lady named Sanique, who's from the Bay Area. She moved from Fiji to the Bay Area. Oh, sorry. And then that's my wife, Polo.
Oh, hey, Polo. We're almost done. Sorry.
But as I sat there and I listened to the struggles, being able to, I grew up Afakasi, right? So I was never really accepted in either culture, and I was like, where do I stand? What do I know? What's going to go on with me? And then at the same time, recognizing that some of my own cousins that are really close to me were alternative lifestyle, that they were gay, that they were lesbian, and they were struggling too, but for different reasons, not being accepted, for their whole family. And people would just write them off. They could be the greatest athlete or they could be the greatest student, but everyone would just be fixated on the fact that they were either gay or lesbian, instead of being able to accept them so that they would feel good about themselves and being able to move on. Yes, last Saturday was great. It was great to be around so many people celebrating and seeing, people of all walks and all cultures and all creeds and all colors being there to support each other. Yeah, I had a really good time, and growing up in San Francisco, that's where the revolution started, right? For the gay and lesbian people, right?
Utopia San Francisco is based.
Right.
It's the founder organization.
The founder, right?
Yes.
And like I told you, I lived between Market and Folsom, so Castro wasn't very far away from us.
Right.
And pretty soon we start to see the bars opening up around our neighborhood, right, with the black, sheets, and then the blocking what we see inside, and we got to see who went inside, and and then pretty soon those guys end up growing, being our neighbors. They started renting apartments around our neighborhood because it was cheaper and it was, downtown close to their work. And, then they became our friends. And it was like, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? I mean, if they're happy, we should be happy.
I love Taffy and exactly for the reason that you said.
Right.
She's not just fighting for the cutie pies. She's fighting for all of our people to help. I think the same thing with Malo too. He's doing a great job at Utopia PDX, which we love.
Right.
All the work that they're doing there and to move our community forward. I think
they're really taking it. So Taffy and Malo have taken that to another level where it's not just a volunteer organization, because a lot of the Pacific Islander CBOs, they're all volunteers, and there's nothing wrong with that. I remember Patsy Tito from the
Yes.
Solomon Community Development Center said
Yes.
in one of our meetings, she said, "Hey, we all started as volunteers."
Right.
But Taffy and Malo and Joseph Saya and a lot of the CBOs now are going to the next level where they have infrastructure.
Yeah.
They're growing and they're going to that next level, and to see all the things that Taffy's
Yeah.
doing in
crazy,
in
amazing.
Seattle is just, it's heartwarming. It's great to see Pikawa and OPIC and all those organizations
Right.
that are just they're just really not
Yeah.
beginning, but they're flourishing well beyond just that volunteer stage.
Absolutely. When I was going through the evaluation process, I had to be evaluated by different bar associations. So one of them was the Q Law, which is the LGBTQIA law bar, and they came on and they asked me a couple questions, and we just connected right away. Just because I grew up in San Francisco and being able to recognize what they've been going through. I know that there's help groups out there for Seahawk fans, including Carl.
That's right. I was going to ask you about if you had that up there in Washington, because I think we need it down here too.
But it's phenomenal to see people progress and move, and pushing forward and being able to be recognized and accepted finally. And I came away last week just so happy to be a part of that. And so I applaud, all the efforts that, all the different groups that are out there that are pushing, especially Manny at Taffy up here, because, she's local. And so I want to support our local people.
Yeah.
And make, it's great. It's just phenomenal to watch our people grow and progress. And I love it, and in one of the evaluation process, I had told them, I said, the islands of Pacifica, the people of Pacifica were the first group to accept the LGBTQIA. We didn't push them aside. With all the missionaries coming down and spreading the word of God, we didn't push those people aside because they were our family.
That's right.
They're part of us, and so we're not going to push them away. Yeah, we're going to work with them. We love them. We're going to accept them, and
They're our
they're
family.
really
Everyone in our family.
I think that was what was hard with specifically the Polynesian communities, because you had that third gender well before Christianity. You had the Mahu, the Leiti, the Fa'afafine. You know what I mean? Like that's how forward our group or our culture was. Like now, the American culture or Western civilization culture is starting to accept that, but that was well before Christianity got there.
Right. Good point, Carl. Good point. Even what are you, a Raider fan, Carl?
Oh my gosh.
That's bad. That's bad. No,
I was born
worse
I was
than
born at San Francisco General, so I'm a native, and I'm a diehard Giants fan, but I'm a Steelers fan on the football field. So.
Well, they did have Troy play for them, so I mean that's a good thing.
That's one thing.
That's the only thing I think for that the Pacific Islander 49er fans give me at that is like, well, Troy played for your team, so you can't be all bad.
Yes. Now you have Juju, so you're okay.
So do you think? What do you think? The Niners, I think, they're 1 year removed from the Super Bowl. They got moved up for a big pick for the the quarterback position. That the defense should still be there. I mean, they were there last year as well. What do you think this year?
Well, I think that I watch practice every day. I watch all the different people like Grant Cohn and his dad Lowell Cohn, who used to report on the Niners. So I watched that. Matt Mayoko. I'm still plugged into a lot of the Bay Area people there with all the podcasts and everything. And Vish, who's phenomenal. A member of the LGBTQI community, who's just really, really smart and understands football. And I'm just like, wow, really impressed by her knowledge. And so I'm watching practice every day. Seeing D Ford come back from his injuries is amazing. And if he can keep that up, and then when Nick Bosa comes back, all of a sudden we got two monster pass rushers, coming from the side. DJ Jones in the middle is our good run stopper. We got Kinlaw we drafted to replace DeForest. To come in, and then we have a good rotation now. We stole a couple guys from the Raiders with Maurice Hurst and Arden Key, and then we have Kevin Gibbons. So our defensive line is going to be rotating. It's going to be vicious. We got all pro Fred Warner at linebacker with Dre Greenlaw. We signed Michael Kendricks, formerly of the Seahawks, to come in and do some thumping. I really like this kid, that young kid, Jonas Griffin. I like him. At corners, I'm kind of worried about our secondary a little bit, with Jaquaski Tart being hurt all the time, with that turf toe injury since last November. That's going to be a problem. Jimmy Ward played really well last year. And in the year before, we went to Super Bowl, so I hope he can keep that up. We have Verrett on the outside and Emmanuel Mosley in the other corner, and he's got a bad hamstring, but we just don't have any really good depth. We got that young kid we drafted from SC, that Talanoa Hufanga, who I think plays a little bit. He's like a little mini Troy, but he just needs to develop a little bit more. So I think our defense is going to be good. On our offensive side of the ball, we got a really good stable of running backs with Mostert, and then the Trey Sermon, who they moved up to draft in the 3rd round. I really enjoy him. I like the young kid, Jermichael Hasty. He reminds me of a little bit of Marshawn Lynch, the way he runs. He's got some speed to him. Kyle Juszczyk, phenomenal fullback. I mean, he's no Tom Rathman, but he's pretty good. He's no Fred Beasley, all pro Fred, but he's good too.
That's the measurement of which all 49er fullbacks are going to be measured.
Tom Rathman, right? It really should be John Henry Johnson back from the $1 Million backfield, and that guy was phenomenal. I mean, so, but Tom Rathman was the quintessential modern fullback that we all look at.
Yeah.
Wide receiver wise, we got Debo, we got Ayuk, we got all pro George Kittle, we got Mohamed Sanu, who's going to be our 3rd guy. Trent Sherfield will be our stretch the field guy, and then we have this kid named Juwan Jennings. He's just this big, strong kid that they're gonna have a tough time dealing with him. I would hate to be in the secondary to try to tackle that dude. Our problems are our first string offensive line is pretty good. We got Williams at one tackle, McGlinchey at the other tackle. We got Mack at center, who's an all-pro and has been there for a long time. Lakin Tomlinson, I think, is a very solid left guard. Our problems are at right guard. We got 3 guys rotation, so I mean that's going to be the issue. Then we have no depth, and that's the problem. At quarterback, I love Jimmy. I love him, but Jimmy keeps making the same mistakes over and over. But this new kid, Trey Lance, to me, is a combination of Colin Kaepernick and a combination of Steve Young. And I think that if Kyle Shanahan takes his time and teaches this kid and he's able to get his feet wet and he's able to play, we'll have our own Patrick Mahomes in San Francisco. So, I'm excited. I'm really excited for the future there. So, I think Lynch and Shanahan have done a good job of building a good squad. And, we're going to compete. So I'm excited.
Do you think it's a +10 win season?
If they stay healthy.
Yeah. I really
they
think
gotta stay healthy.
Your defense is going to anchor everything. I think the offense is going to struggle a little bit as they grow. But, I mean, that defense from 2 years ago, it's still there. It's still intact. Bosa coming back is going to – I think is a huge key for that defense, and I think they're going to be solid. I think it's, like you said, developing the offense. But, man, I am thinking we might want to start a sports talk show with the judge.
That would be awesome.
He is not a casual football fan. He is a hardcore football fan.
Oh no! And then we would have to get Manny and Vince on board.
Vince in there. Oh my God!
Yeah, I had a really good time. Behind the scenes, we were able to talk a lot about sports and everything. And so, I'm not a Giants fan. I'm a diehard Seattle Mariners fan, and I know we haven't done anything, but I love the Mariners. I love the Sonics when they were in town. We're rooting for the Kraken. It's our new hockey team here, and
nice.
Yeah, so it's just. I'm a Bay Area kid, still love the Niners, but I do love some of the Seattle franchises as well. Just not the Sea Chickens.
That's right. There
you can be a Mariners fan without being a rival of the Giants fan, but there's no wearing 2 hats between the Seahawks and the 49ers.
Yeah.
You are one or the other.
The Bible says you can't serve 2 masters.
That's right. Yes. I love you, Judge. Oh my God!
Living up there behind enemy lines for so long, he's definitely had to come up with his own defenses.
Yeah.
Every day I walk into the court, I got to go through the screeners. Well, first it's the officers outside of the court. They give me a hard time. Then I go through the screeners, and they give me a hard time. Then my clerks give me a hard time.
Bring it. Bring it.
We will see.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to let you go to your wife because she's gonna come in and clobber you.
We want to be able to have you on again later.
Right. We don't want to get you in trouble.
We'll definitely be in touch.
We
Thank you
will.
so much for the
Judge
opportunity. I
Moy,
really
thank you
appreciate
so much for your time. I can't even tell you how much it meant to us to have you
Yeah.
on.
it.
We are so proud of all the work that you're doing,
Thank you.
everything that
Thank
you're doing there. We're grateful and humbled to have had you on, and that you're inspiring just a whole generation of just being you and doing God's work
Praise God.
and doing His plan is inspiring our Pacifica people.
It's
Thank you.
always, we always talk about how somebody will see this and you'll never know. You know what I mean? Like we don't know the true shadow that we cast, especially with our own Pacifica people. And there's going to be somebody that sees this that's inspired to do something that they're not going to come up to you and thank you or say, hey, I saw this. But at some point, many points in your life and in your journey, there's going to be people, both brown and non-brown, that are inspired by what you're doing. So thank you for being you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. All the praise goes to God. That's all
All
I can
Always.
say.
praise, all praise. Thank you,
Right.
Judge, for joining us.
Thank
And
you.
we
Thank you. Thank you, Carl. We really
go back
appreciate it.
to
And I look forward
we
to speaking
appreciate-
to you guys again.
Have a good
Yes,
Sunday.
thank you. Have a good Sunday.
You as well. Mangwe Lasso.
On with us.
Onward also. Wow. Good job, Naki, booking that.
my gosh.
Naki is our not unofficial. She is our official booker of all guests, and that was an amazing book right there.
That
Because
was-
that guy, for so many different reasons. When we say that we push and promote positive Pacific Islander role models, that right there is a perfect example of who we're trying to shine the light on. So good show.
Yeah.
Long show.
Oh my
This is
gosh.
we used to go 2 hours every show.
Yeah.
And now if we go over an hour and a half, we're like, oh my gosh, I'm more out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That
thank
was
you
awesome.
so much to Judge Moy for coming on and sharing time with us on a Sunday.
On a Sunday. Thank you so much.
You're blown away.
Yeah, we're done. I'm done. I'm
That's a wrap.
done. It's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Every Sunday from 10 to noon. Naki does this normally, so I'm going to mess it up. But every Sunday from 10 to noon, sometimes 10 to 11. We start somewhere around 10. But we're here every Sunday morning. Come back to FICA with us.